Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching this video. Today I will demonstrate how to use JWT token authorization scheme inside ASP.NET Web API 2.1 version. And I will demonstrate how to generate those tokens, how to add roles to them, how to use attributes to validate certain endpoints in your API. So the first thing that we need to do is to create Web API project, and we can do it by clicking File, New Project, selecting ASP.NET Core Web Application. I will name mine JWT Demo. You can name as anything you like and click OK. From the template list, I will select API and click OK. Remember, this is version 2.1 and I cannot guarantee that it will work in previous versions. So we click OK, and when our project is generated, we can continue with implementation of the JWT authorization scheme. First thing that I will do is run our application to make sure that it's building properly, and it will start in a browser. It returns value 1 and value 2. This is how Firefox is representing JSON results from the server. This is how the response actually looks like. And I will leave it open here for testing purposes. The result is retrieved from values controller. It's returning array of strings, but that's not important for this demonstration. I just want you to know how it's working. Next thing what I want to do is create new empty API controller and put their method that will generate our token. So I will add empty API controller. I will call it AUTH, or short for authentication. This will be empty controller without any methods. Now in this controller we need a method that will return token to us, so we can use it to execute another endpoint of our API which requires authorization. I will create that method, and for the demo version I will just return string so we can see that everything is working. String will be hello from API. I will set method to be HTTP post, and the route name will be not route name, route will be tokens. So when accessing, we will need to add API/AUTH/token in order to access this endpoint of our API. Now I will test this endpoint using Postman application that's built for testing API endpoints, and it's very useful. If you didn't use it till now, please do. It will help you a lot when testing API endpoints. Now I need URL to my application. And if we execute this URL, it will return array of strings as we see in browser, value 1, value 2. But I need it to be post method and to execute AUTH controller and method token. Now I will press send and it will return our string. So this is the list of things that we need to do. Now I will write comments of points that we need to do in order to return token to client that's requesting it. So I will do it like this. We need security key. That's the key that we will use to sign token, so we can validate it later. Then we need symmetric security key. Then we need to create credentials for signing token. Then we needed to create token, and then return token. First, we need a key. That's just a simple string, and you can save it anywhere in your database, your configuration file, or environment. I prefer to put it in environment because I can't commit it by accident to our code version server, and it will be always secured. So I will just for demonstration put it here, but please, if you implement this method, put the key somewhere safe. Okay, now we need symmetric security key. We need to use Microsoft Identity Model tokens, and we need to pass as a byte array to it. So I will use encoding UTF-8 and pass our security key to it. The next thing, we need to create sign-in credentials. We need to pass our symmetric security key as a first parameter. And the second, we need to choose algorithm that we will use to generate, to sign token and to validate it. Okay, so now we just need to create token. We need to pass some named parameters, name attributes, in order to create token. That will be, those parameters will be used as initial value to create, and later on when we set up a JWT authorization scheme to validate the token sent by client. So the issuer can be any string. Audience also, but I will set readers. Now we need to set the date when this token will expire. We can set for this demonstration 1 hour from now. Now we need to assign sign-in credentials. And that's it. We will have our token. Now all we need the JWT security token handler to return from this token, to return a string that can be used in request to our API. So we can return it immediately. This method write token will return string version of this token, and we will return it to client. So if we execute this method now, we should receive token here. There it is. The next thing we need to do is introduce JWT token authorization scheme into our application. We do that with the startup CS file under method configure services. We need to add authentication scheme and set some options that will be used to validate our token. So let's do it. This is not included by default, but it's already in ASP.NET Core runtime and SDK, so you just need to include it in your project. You don't need to install any additional packages. I'm talking about Core 2.1, and we use authentication scheme. The next thing, we need to add some options. We first need to add JWT bearer. Then we need to add token validation parameters. Now we set up what to validate. We will validate issuer, validate audience, and validate signing key. This should always be true. Okay, now we will set data that will be used to validate against provided token. As audience, I will set readers. You can do anything. You can set anything you want. And now we need to set signing key that we already used in our authorization controller to generate token. We need to set same symmetric security key to it as we did there, with the same parameter, same security key, same algorithm, signing algorithm. So I will just copy that value. We need key, we need symmetric security. It's my bad, we don't need the algorithm for this. Algorithm will be provided in header of token. I will show you what header, what payload, and what signing keys are in token. Those are the three parts of the token that are generated, and they are separated by dot. We will use same key. So we just assign symmetric security key to it. And that's the configuration, all configuration that we need. Please just put these parameters inside your application configuration file or environment. Don't put them hard-coded so they are not easily changed. And you can commit them to server and anyone can see data, so I suggest you to put them into environment, and the keys in environment put in your app settings JSON file so you can access them easily. We will check if the project is building. Yes, it's working, so everything is working. If we go to our application and we access our values controller, and we can see that it's still working. Now, if we set authorize attribute to values controller, it's inside Microsoft ASP.NET Core Authorization. Now we will not be able to access it without token. So just one more thing, I forget to say that our application is using authentication. Now everything is set. We can check again. Now the application is building automatically. It will say 401 unauthorized. We are not authorized to access this endpoint. But if we say we will use bearer token and we generate a new one for us, and put it inside this text box, and if we send it, it will say, okay, we are authorized. The next thing that I want to show you is how you can add additional claims, for example, username, user ID, user email, or role. If you add a role to it, then you can use roles for certain methods. I'll show you here. For example, only administrator can access this controller. And now if we try to access our endpoint with the previous token that we generated, it will say that access is forbidden, so we are not allowed to access our endpoint with this token because we don't have role administrator assigned to it. But first of all, let me show you the parts of token. We can use JWT IO site, that's very useful. It can explain you parts of the token. If we paste our token here, it will colorize differently every part of our token. So the first part is header, and the header contains information about our token, the type of encryption, or you can say signature algorithm used. Second part is payload, that's the data that we added to our token. So we added also expiration date, issuer, and audience. And the third part is a signature, the one that is used to validate that header and payload data when encrypted or crypted with the same key that we used with the same algorithm is equal to 1 here, then our algorithm is our token is valid. So what do we need to do next? We need to add claims, type of roles to it, to our token, so we can access this endpoint again. How do we add claims? We simply create a list of claims with the claim name and its value, and to add roles we will do it like this. Add new claim, claim type will be role, and the value will be administrator. Okay, we can add as many roles as we want, and we can add any claim that we want. For example, our custom claim, and if we generate token now and go to JWT site, we can see those claims inside the payload. First we need to generate token. Okay, this we didn't assign claims to our token. We do it by okay, small typo. We now assign claims to our token, and when we generate it, we will get new token which contains information about role and our custom claim. You can see it here, and the role is administrator. If you add multiple roles, it will represent them in the payload as a JSON array. I will do just that so you can see. For example, reader, and if I generate new token that contains role reader, I will be able to see them in payload, administrator and reader. This is JavaScript array. JSON is a JavaScript object notation, so the list of roles is represented as an array inside JavaScript. Now we can use this token to try and validate our request to API. If we go to Postman and we use our new token and we send, it will say it's okay and we will receive our values. So that's all for this video. I just want to bring to your attention that the secrets like this you should never hard code. You should put them somewhere else. It's not practice to put them in your app settings JSON or web config or application config file. It's always good to put them somewhere, for example, into environment, because if you put them into app settings, you can accidentally commit them to a server and someone can see them. But if they are environment and you are using environment key to access this data, then you will be safe. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please give a like. If not, you know what to do. Bye.